2 when solving inequalities in one variable. So when you're solving inequalities, that's exactly the same thing as solving equations. You just want to get the variable by itself, and with your inequalities, you want your variable to come first. The reason why is because you will be graphing these, and it is a lot easier to figure out which way your line is running on the number line to graph them if your variable comes first. So again, just like with equations, you want to undo addition or subtraction before you undo multiplication or division. You want to remember when you are multiplying or dividing each side of your inequality by a negative, you have to switch the way that sign, that inequality sign, is open to. So you want to simplify either side of the inequality. You want to add or subtract from each side of the inequality the same number, the same expression, and then you want to multiply or divide each side of the inequality by the same positive number. Multiplying each side of the inequality by the same negative number is reversing the direction of the inequality. So you want to switch this the way that sign is open to. If we look at example 1 for A, we have 5x plus 17 is less than 2. So we're solving this and graphing this. So if we want to undo addition or subtraction first, we're going to undo that plus 17. Oops. Come on. There we go. So we're going to subtract 17 from both sides. Those are going to cancel out. You didn't work with the 5x, so you're going to drop that down. So 5x, drop your inequality sign down, is less than 2 minus 17 is negative 15. From here, you want to get x by itself. The 5 is in front of the x. It is positive, so you're going to divide each side by 5. You don't have to move any sign. So we're going to have x is less than negative 3. On our number line, when we go to graph this, we're going to draw our number line. We're going to have the numbers that surround negative 3. Our sign is less than. It's not equal to, so we're going to have an open circle on that negative 3, and we're going to run our line to the left because that sign is telling us which way to run our line as well. So we have that x is less than negative 3 and an open circle on negative 3 on our number line, and our line runs to the left. If we look at B, we have 5 times 3 minus t is less than 7 minus t. So we're going to first distribute that 5, and we're going to get 15 minus 5t is less than 7 minus t. You want to bring whichever variable has the lesser coefficient, you got to look at the sign here, over to the other side. So you have a negative 1t and you have a negative 5t. What is going to make this positive? Bring the 5t over to the other side by adding it to both sides. We're going to be left with 15 is less than 7 plus 4t. We now have a positive coefficient to that t, which is in our favor because we won't have to multiply or divide by a negative number. So we don't have to worry about switching the sign. From here, subtract that 7 from each side. The 7 is going to cancel out. That 4t is going to drop down. Then you have the 15 minus 7. Keep the sign, which is 8. So from here, divide each side by that 4. Again, you're dividing by a positive because you moved that 5 over instead of moving the negative t over. So you just have 8 divided by 4, which is 2, is less than t. So from here, you want to rewrite this to where your variable comes first. Whatever sign or whatever side your inequality sign is open to, you want to keep it open to that. So you want to make sure that t comes first and that inequality is open to the t, so it's going to stay open to the t, and then you write that 2. So t is greater than 2. When you go to graph this, that sign is pointing to the right. So when you draw your line on the number line, we have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 1. We're going to have an open circle on 2, and that line's going to run to the right because our inequality sign is pointing to the right. So whenever you make that inequality to where your variable comes first, the sign that comes after it will actually tell you which way to draw your line. So in this case, it points to the right. Your line on the number line that you draw is going to point to the right as well. If we look at example C, we have 4x is greater than 2 times 3 plus 2x. Okay, so if we have this one for C, we have 4x is greater than 2 times 3 plus 2x. If you have something like the 4x and the 2 where you can divide the 2 and it's divisible, it goes into the other number, you can do that first instead of distributing. So I'm going to take the short way out of this and divide each side by that 2 to get 2x is greater than 3 plus 2x. So from here, I would move that 2x over to the other 2x by subtracting them, and I get that 0 is greater than 3. Now, is this a true statement? No, it's not, so no solution is our answer. If you did the distribution first, you would just have the 4x is greater than 6 plus 8x. Oh, sorry, 4x. There we go. 4x. If we subtract the 4x from both sides, we're going to be left with the same thing, that those x's cancel out, so 0 is greater than 6. Again, that is not a true statement, so no solution. If we look at example D, we have 2t is less than negative 1/2 times negative 6 plus 4t. So if you wanted to, you could distribute that negative 1/2, or you can say, okay, I have a fraction. I want to get rid of that fraction. I'm going to multiply my entire inequality by that denominator to get rid of it. When I do this, if I have parentheses, I'm only doing this multiplication to what's outside the parentheses. Whatever's inside is going to stay. You're not going to bother with it. So you're going to do the 2 times 2t, which gives us 4t, is less than 2 times negative 1/2 is negative 1 times negative 6 minus 4t. So again, now distribute that negative 1. We're just going to change the signs on all of these. So we're going to have 4t is less than 6 plus 4t. So now we would subtract the 4t from both sides. Those cancel out, and we'd be left with 0 is less than 6. Is 0 less than 6? Yes, it is. That's a true statement. So all real numbers is our answer for that one. If you were to graph this one on a number line, you can do something like negative 1, 0, 1, and just do your line throughout the number line. So you wouldn't have a distinct point anywhere on that number line. If we look at E, we have 4 times 2 minus x minus 3 times 1 plus x is less than 5 times 1 plus x. So we're going to start by distributing the 4, the negative 3, and the 5 into those parentheses. So we're going to have 4 times 2, which is 8. 4 times negative x is negative 4x. Then we have minus 3 times 1, so negative 3, and negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, is less than 5 times 1, which is 5, and 5 times negative x is negative 5x. So from here, we're going to combine like terms if we can. We have that negative 4x and that negative 3x, and that 8 and the negative 3. So negative 4x minus 3x is going to give us negative 7x. 8 minus 3 is positive 5, is less than 5 minus 5x. So I want to move one of those variables over to make them positive, that negative 7x and that negative 5x. If I add the 7 to both sides, I'm going to get a positive 2x. So 7x is going to be added to both sides. I am left with 5 is less than 5 plus 2x. From here, I'm going to go ahead and subtract that 5 from both sides to get 0 is less than 2x, and then divide each side by 2 to get 0 is less than x. Again, you want that x first, so rewrite this to be x is greater than 0. On our number line, we're going to find 0. We're going to have an open circle, and our line's going to run to the right because our inequality sign is pointing to the right. So we have x is greater than 0, and our number line with an open circle on 0, and our line runs to the right. Remember, if your inequality has a greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, we have a closed circle on that number on the number line that we're working with.